Please welcome the co-founders of Floyd, Kyle Hoff and Alex O'Dell.
Here's,
Cool.
all right, are we on?
Sweet.
Good? Cool. Thank you, Core77 and the voice of God back there. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, super excited. Just by a show of hands, how many people here live with furniture? Okay, amazing. Okay,
Got it.
We're off to a great start.
Cool. Cool, so we're calling this instructions for how to assemble a furniture company. We have a few steps in here. We may or may not know all of them, but just a little disclaimer that there's a couple. So Floyd. So Floyd's we're a direct-to-consumer furniture company. We're based out of Detroit. Direct-to-consumer basically means that we just sell direct to the end customer. We don't sell through other stores. It's all through our website typically, and it's floydhome.com. That wasn't meant to be a shout out to our own website, but what we really like to do is go deep on a number of products of the home, and in one in each vertical. So, solving problems for each of those products. So you come to Floyd for a bed frame, you come to Floyd for a table, a sofa, a bookshelf, not 25 types of tables, but just one table or one bed frame. And we offer it year over year, and don't change the style. So here's your second picture of a landfill for the day. Jamie's was a little bit more like, kind of like had the cows in the field, but this one's just as depressing. 9.9 million tons of furniture thrown away each year in the U.S., and that was really the impetus of starting the company. It was something that Alex and I connected on, and we were all part of it. I mean, everybody is part of this. I mean, I've moved a number of times. I've thrown away my fair share of IKEA mom beds and IKEA lack tables, and then just bought another one. And I think that was kind of the initial, push for us to start. And it all started with this very kind of simple product. Excuse the photography. It was before it was anything, but it was table legs. It was a set of 4 table legs, and kind of the idea was to solve this problem of how can you start to create and think about furniture that's adaptable, that can move with you. And albeit very simple, the idea was that you find a flat surface, you could potentially upcycle it, and then you go to move in with your next creepy Craigslist roommates, and you throw it in a bag, and it goes to your next apartment. So it was just an idea at that point, and this is where Alex and I met. This is an over-dramatization, but I mean, this is what it looked like when we first moved to Detroit. And it was right actually around the bankruptcy. It was like a week after, and of Detroit, not of us. But yeah, we moved into this garage. We were helping another friend start a business, but this is where Alex and I really started to kind of hustle around this idea of these table legs and of furniture. And we wanted to get this product out in the world because we knew it was kind of a pain point for ourselves, and we wanted to see if it was a pain point for other people. So we went to crowdfunding. We launched it on a Kickstarter in January of 2014. And the reason we did a Kickstarter was essentially because we had no money. And to the point earlier that it's way one to prove a concept, really test the price. And I think this allowed us to get to a scale where we could work with manufacturers to get the product out there at a reasonable price point. So ideally, essentially, we were selling the product ahead of time, and then thereafter delivering. Crowdfunding almost killed us because we didn't realize when we opened it up to international sales, we had about 35% of our orders were international, and we had to ship these things all around the world to 30 so countries, and that was kind of one learning experience, but all said and done, it was a way for us to really get the product out in the world and kind of our foray into furniture.
Yeah, and we saw that this wasn't a problem that just we had or something that we cared about. And when we sat down after the Kickstarter, it was like, okay, where do we go from here? And we really wanted to build a full furniture company. And in Michigan, there's a lot of great companies like Herman Miller, Steelcase, Lazy Boy, are all based in Michigan. But it was 2014, and it's like, does the world really need another furniture company? And so we really wanted to go deep on what is like the current market of furniture, what's the industry look like. So I'll give you kind of 120-second rundown of how we saw it, and just kind of give you that overview. So there's like the mall chains where you have the restoration hardwares and the crate and barrels, and they're typically buying product white label, and so these are just buying from manufacturers. And if you look across the products of those companies, they're really not very differentiated. And for the price you're paying, you're not really getting great quality. And something that they all share is this aspect of seasonality and following trends. And so there's a very high turnover of new product every year. Then the tent sales, another shout out to the Wavy Man. We do love the Wavy Man. That's one great thing of this model. But this is like the store out in the suburbs with the commercial. It's like 90% off, 12 days only, this President's Day, like that whole thing. And so they're just like trying to like
Alex is still working on his voiceover for commercials.
It's coming soon. And then there's like the e-commerce furniture, which is the Wayfairs and the Amazons. And so they're offering you millions of products in their platforms, and they're driven by an algorithm of recommendations. And if you're just looking for a table, you don't know who that manufacturer is, what quality you're gonna get. And just by looking up dining tables, you have like 10,000 options. It's like overwhelming. Then there's the designs out of reach. And these are companies that are just like super expensive and like months long shipping timelines. But I mean, they are great design, just not attainable. And then one that's just like out of its own, it's totally in its own league is IKEA. And this is the catalog of the company when they first launched in 1943. And about 10 years later, they opened their first retail store. And today, they're in 38 countries, and 1 billion people visit IKEAs every year. And if you think about like other platforms that have 1 billion users, like Facebook, we really hold those companies accountable, and we think about what are the impacts that they have on society. And IKEA is one of these companies that has a tremendous history and has innovated in some incredible ways. But in addition to these other businesses, has contributed to an idea of disposability and of the idea that furniture isn't something for keeping, and it's something that it's okay to go to a landfill.
So we knew we could do better, and we could find a way to build a better model around furniture, and hopefully solve some of those problems. And it really, for us, starts with better products, and really better products for how people are living today. This is kind of a photo of a little R&D lab in Detroit, but when we get down, when we really start to think about designing a product, from the first Floyd leg to the bed frame to the sofa, it is really kind of getting at what is the root of the problem here. And we're a company that's we've been around for 4 or 5 years, which is nothing compared to a lot of companies, but we like to spend a lot of time really thinking deep on each of these products, from the design to the supply chain to how people are receiving it in the mail to what it looks like for assembly. And I think some of the problems of the product design of these other companies is that it's not designed to be kept. It's not something that you're encouraged to take with you. So one of the main things we really think about is it as easy to disassemble as it is to assemble? Does it encourage you to take it to your next home? Or is it a product that just it's in your room now and you can't get it out and you're like, you throw it away or you tear it apart. So thinking about disassembly. We also like to really think about, are the parts serviceable? Like if something breaks, if a leg breaks, if one cushion breaks, can it be replaced? So this is part of the sofa we launched about a month and a half ago, and it's all a kit of parts. They ship in these different boxes together. If at some point in the future one of the parts has an issue, you come to Floyd and we'll replace it. And I think the last thing is it's just simple that it needs to look good now, and as a company we need to stand behind the design. I think it's kind of goes back to that idea. We haven't put minions yet on this sofa. We've been thinking about it, but I think it's just something that there's an integrity behind the company who's selling the product, that we're selling it this year. We hope to be selling it in 15, 20, 30 years, and that we can, that we're not, pushing to release the new style next year. It's one model that you can really get behind, and maybe there's different colors or whatever, but the kind of concept of the product stands strong over time. And I think Jamie also went pretty deep on this point, but when we design products, and I think when you bring a product to market, it isn't sitting in that R&D lab and kind of, sketching in isolation. But it's, communicating closely with our partners at manufacturers and really understanding the supply chain to bring that product to market. I mean, we're not here to just build one of something. We're here to build a lot of something and hopefully impact the lives of many people, not just one person. And I think that requires us to really be working closely with these manufacturers to ensure that the product can be built at scale, it can be repeated, and the people making it are really in tune with how it's produced and who it's going to. So it's a big part of every step of the process is checking in along the way and ensuring that what's at the facility we're making it can be made at scale, and that the partners are behind the vision of the product just as much as we are, and that ultimately ends up as something that the customer appreciates.
And with a better experience, it starts like online, and we sell just primarily online. And so it's having a great checkout process and a great experience there, but also the process of ordering furniture can often take 12 weeks, or it's just unreliable of when it's going to arrive. And this drove us this year to think about how can we offer same-day delivery in our core cities. And this was a pretty big logistics and technological kind of challenge, because you're trying to ensure that you're hitting that every single day, every day of the year. But we were able to do it in San Francisco and New York and LA and Chicago. And so if you order by 4 p.m. in any of those cities, you can get our product by 9 p.m. And something that allowed us to do that is that our model of furniture is about keeping things really simple. It's just basically 3 product lines. And that allows us to go deep on the experience like that. And on the product side, we're constantly sending surveys back to our customers, and we're reading comments and getting their feedback and trying to improve the product over time. And one example, we had the bed frame out for over a year, and people were asking about a headboard, which kind of seems obvious in retrospect, but it was like, whoa, yeah, you're right. Yeah, we should have a headboard. And so we launched a headboard, and people really loved it, and actually, that was a big change in our growth. All it took was a headboard. But on another product, this is a side table we launched this year, and we put up a vote on Instagram and let people vote on the color, and so this was olive. The third thing is a better way of reaching customers, and this is just really trying to make design approachable and have fun with it as well. This was, early on, we went across the street from IKEA and we put up a billboard. It says, "Eat their meatballs, buy our bed frame." Having fun with that. Something else with our product is we've always photographed it in real homes, and so it's kind of a warmer feeling, and you get to see how it works in other spaces. And being a digital brand, we thought it'd be cool if people could go and experience it in person. And so we came with this idea of Stay Floyd, and we picked our favorite Airbnbs around the country and gave them Floyd product, and so you can actually go and stay there. And so this is in Detroit. We have spaces in Joshua Tree and the Catskills and Portland. So it's a really fun way to interact with the brand in that way. And earlier this year, we evolved that a bit further and thought about what if the home was actually like a store. And so this is the Floyd housewarming. We did the first one in San Francisco. This was in LA. It was in a beautiful home called Blackbird's Community in Echo Park, designed by Barbara Bester, one of our favorite architects working today. And our furniture was there, but you could just come and hang out and just spend time, meeting people and seeing the product. So this was like one of the spaces there. And what was really exciting is that since we just really interact with customers through Instagram or email, we don't get as much of that face-to-face, but doing this, we had people that backed our first Kickstarter come out and say, it's been awesome following you guys. We had people that had never heard of us that just came along with a friend. And that just conversation, that constant feedback of how do we make the product better? How do we improve the experience? How do we stay true to those values is quintessential to where we'll go in the future.
Yeah, and I think kind of in conclusion of instructions for assembling a furniture company, and kind of the idea of this, our talk, the premise was operating in a long-standing market, and I think just because companies have been doing it for 100 years or 50 years or whatever doesn't mean it can't be done better, and a lot of times it probably can be done way better. And I think ultimately, you really just want to know what they're doing and solve a problem. And there are more than just one problem, and it's multiple problems. And I think being really focused on that versus just trying to, create something. So I think it's just, at the end of the day, like really, really knowing what the problem is you're solving. And lastly, another little plug. No, I'm just kidding. But we just actually today are launching a housewarming similar to the one that Alex was talking about in LA in Soho. So it'll be open for the next month, 496 Broadway.